All right. We're almost done. We're almost done.
We'll see what will triumph, the actual decent good gameplay or the story that is really
Brainless.
just lost itself.
Apparently,
Whoa, that's a one-hit kill.
the spider twist was so bad that Pixie and Edgy had to run away from this.
Not just that, but
Why one-hit kill all of a sudden out of
yeah,
nowhere?
yeah. There were so many one-hit kills in the first game, and that was one of the big complaints. However, I guess they just couldn't. I guess they just couldn't resist having some one-hit kills.
Well,
and there's no real I get that Steam hurts. I get that, but it's Knack.
And for it to be a one-hit kill, that's out of nowhere. Like,
Fuck. Even Tintin in the 16-bit games can survive more than one hit with Steam. That's right. Knack is actually more fragile than fucking Tintin in his video games.
First of all, for traversing those parts, you are like in the little form of Knack, and any kind of obstacle kills you in one hit throughout all the game.
But even in the first game, little Knack didn't get hurt that easily. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Second, this is technically the final level, so I would expect cheap stuff in any kind of shape, especially for a game that has a track record like this.
I can understand that, but have it be stuff that makes sense. Steam, okay, whether or not it's a final level, have something actually deadly looking be that hurtful. Steam, that's just ridiculous.
Why even allow me to take control of those guns if there's nothing to shoot?
Immersion?
Totally.
And yeah.
What's next? Polygons?
You know, that's another thing also. Again, was it really that hard for them to come up with something other than Steam that would one-hit kill Little Knack? Like, I don't know, how about like a death laser or something? You know, not to mention about that, let's not forget, the way Knack is, Steam shouldn't even really kill him because, let's not forget, he's the core. What? Okay, what offense does Steam really pose to the core?
Look at the pretty polygon job.
I know that you're traversing my giant robot, but I'm just going to try and mock you still.
Whatever was left of Xander is long gone by this point.
No, Xander has become a completely different character by this point. He's a caricature of a cartoon villain at this point.
It's not even a case of saying, oh, the power just made him go mad, because no, first of all, that's not how it works. Second, it would be so uncharacteristic for him.
The big problem is that, of course, like the story lacks any sense of. It's kind of similar. Well, not similar. I guess. Yeah. Okay, it's technically not as. Obviously, Freedom Planet still has a quite better story than this. However, it does share one common problem: is that because the plot feels like it goes by way too fast, and because of that, we don't get proper context for characters that we should have, like. Xander. Do we know anything about Xander? Let's think about this for a moment. Do we know anything about Xander?
Yes, but the problem is like
the leader of the monks, and that's it.
Okay. Again, like Red Letter Media said, Phil. Here's what we're gonna do. Describe Xander to me without mentioning his role in the game, his profession, what he physically looks like. Describe him to me as a person. His characteristics.
Old. He's old.
Let's see, he's old.
That's part of the physical. Come on. Wait. Something else.
Well, I mean, old can describe age, which isn't always physical. Okay. He's very.
By that logic, you basically put him on the same level as Master Xehanort.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though. Well, no, I never. Well, here's the thing. I never said that Master Xehanort was like masterful characterization or anything like that.
True, but it will put him better than Xander, you know.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking shit.
Well, here's one.
Wow.
Here's one thing Master Xehanort has over Xander. Master Xehanort is voiced by Leonard Nimoy. So
I will say this. Okay, Red Letter Media may not be the best people to quote on criticism.
Well, not for this occasion, Jova. Obviously, that line would have made more context, but for the sake of a movie, not, I guess, for a video game, which is a different type of storytelling. Unless, of course, we're once again assuming the fact that Sony just produces movie with some gameplay beats, but that's clearly not the case for this.
I will say this, it's like, well, Xander did have a character. The problem is, like, well, that character has been demolished. Like, well, yeah, okay, when we started off the game, he was kind of a dick, but for the most part, he was, you know, friendly enough, welcoming to us. You know, he was all about merging back with the societies, you know, in a valiant effort. And how did you get here, Lucas? Oh, right, he landed the plane over there.
Now, how are we going
Again, I guess it's the grappling hook, but aside from those cutscenes in Knack 1, he never used it again.
I mean, I guess, to be fair, it shows that
So jarring that they introduced something characteristic for him.
To be
Best
fair,
friends forever.
To be fair, they do show that he landed.
Seriously?
To be fair, they do show that
Can't you
he
just
landed
feel
the.
the friendship between Lucas and Knack?
To be fair,
yes,
they
Nova.
did show that he landed the plane over there, but even still, though, I mean, it kind of takes away from us caring about Lucas when he just hops in and out, and either just to be the Deus Ex Machina. And that's another thing. How is it that Lucas is the one who constantly manages to get away? Like, either Xander just leaves him behind, doesn't capture him, or he's the one who escapes, whereas the other people all get caught. Now, I can understand Dr. Vargas and his wife, because they're not, you know, into
To
this
be
physical
fair,
activity
Jova,
stuff.
that kind of happened in the first game. Victor did manage to capture, or in this case, convince him, Lucas, and then ultimately also Dr. Vargas, and he used that to his advantage with Katrina planting the eavesdropping bug on his device. Which
Well-
actually makes me wonder, hold on, wasn't this game supposed to explain about his device? Because why the fact that he keeps it that close? Pedro?
Honestly, too, I don't even know at this point.
Also,
I remember someone specifically telling that that thing for the planet was reserved for this game.
okay, here's the thing. It was hinted at in the first game, so we assumed that they would bring it up in the sequel, and yet we've got Jack Squad. Also, going back...
So I'm guessing we need to wait for the third title for that as well.
We'll see. Anyway, going back to what you were saying, Tio, that's the thing, though. It's like, well, okay, it made sense in... Oh my god, Knack 1 actually made more sense. It made more sense in Knack 1, but again, in Knack 2, there are points where Xander clearly could have and should have grabbed Lucas, like the part where he just leaves Lucas and Knack on the island. Yeah, apparently Xander captured Ryder and everyone else there, but not Lucas. We never even see how Lucas got away. And, okay, you think maybe the villains are using this to their advantage, but they don't even do that.
Yeah.
They're making Lucas this Jesus character who is just always there while he barely does anything for it, at least on screen. Not quite Gary Stu, but he's pretty much the Deus Ex Machina character. And not in a good way.
More Steam.
Which means I have to be careful.
Knack 2 on Steam when?
Well, there's enough crap on Steam, might as well.
Teo, you're mistaken.
Paris
You're confused.
Tafatio.
Teo, you're confused. This is not a Microsoft.
No, can you imagine all those PC fans who never bought a PS4 and desperately wanted Bloodborne, and so he's like, yes, now we're releasing finally a PS4 game that everyone wanted on PC on Steam. It's Knack 2.
Okay.
Like, the salt
Teo.
will be real.
Well,
The best thing about that would be that PC modders would probably find a way to mod it so that it's actually a good game.
true. But well, here's the no, the funny thing. The funny thing is when you check out Xbox salty fanboys for not being able to play Spider-Man.
Or Xbox salty fanboys for not being able to play.
I love
like-
one. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Cutscene.
Oh,
Oh,
There we go.
the
Turns out-
monks
there we go.
are so
There-
loyal, yay!
There we go. Ava managed to find some monks that she still trusts.
I'm off to warn the city that this thing's coming.
thank you! I guess that's all you'll be doing for this final act.
Okay, I guess you can. I guess to be fair, she is doing something. She's doing it off screen, but she's technically doing something.
Allow me to address something. Hey, Ava, maybe you could help fly Knack up to the core unit of this thing?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Actually.
In fact, that blimp is moving so slowly. Why doesn't Xander shoot
Also,
in it?
Jova, now I realize what these things remind me.
What?
me of.
What do they remind you of?
Oh, fucking hard. The main villain of Five Nights at Freddy's 5, I think.
Really?
Shiro, you're the expert, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Basically, these Knack clones that look like Carnot Termite 800, they remind me a bit of, well, I don't know if you know, Ennard, the main villain behind the Freddy's 5, the one in the underground pizzeria.
I forget, honestly.
Yeah, don't bother, like...
Aside from the first and second game, I don't really remember a whole lot.
And like I mentioned, don't bother because, it's not really worth it.
Just besides.
Yeah.
It's nice to me that the creator is a really kind person, and despite everything that happened with the fandom, he was still really a jolly person and managed to do great things, like getting a couple of his games for free when he could have easily capitalized on them, and donating to charity most of the income that he gained through the releases. So he's totally a cool guy. The problem sadly relies on the fucking fandom.
Yeah, and another thing, he's also a really good example of a modern indie creator, because, you know, a lot of them, when they get criticism for something, they kind of have, like, the ultimate drama
Tantrum,
line with it.
like fucking Phil Fish.
Turn his criticism into something actually profitable. Like, he actually...
Fish do.
Basically, Jova, but for a lot of time, he basically acted like a special snowflake, insulting Japanese companies for no reason at all, and thinking that his creation, Fats, was the ultimate indie that no one would ever have to criticize. To be fair, Fats is still technically a good platformer.
Wait a minute.
It's just not in a sense that the developer should brag on like he has the biggest stake in the town.
And then and then he was developing Fast 2, and then when someone from
basically he had a fight on Twitter and basically rage quitted.
Fez. Never heard of that game. What?
Of course, the rage quit ends on Twitter.
Why did it? Oh.
The giant mechanical spider is even more. Also has a giant death cannon.
Yeah.
Still not as impressive as Descolay's machines.
Oh,
Someone is really compensating for
okay,
something.
that cannon looked a bit phallic.
Not for the design job, it's the presentation. It really is Freudian.
Okay, so it fires and no. Wow, those people are dead.
I think I know how.
Remember, Joey, that happens also before with another village. Lucas found it's an act for a second watch some of the turrets.
Wait, so the plane was able to get down here? That means we're down lower than we were before, which means that we kind of have to make our way back to the center, which we were closer to earlier, so...
Not only that... Lucas!
Well, he's dead, unless that plane can somehow... Of course it can. Of course it can hover. Why do I even bother? Hey, Lucas, can you fly us up now? Or...
I always do.
Oh, so that's why this chapter was called Friends to the End. Or
Oh, we still continue the chapter. I thought he would have started a new one after
Don't you
this.
see, Tio, the friendship. Also, why can't Lucas just fly us up, or is Lucas going up to do something else?
That's the thing,
right,
if Lucas plays
I'm guessing the
Knack, he
idea-
will probably arrive with no real relics to, you know, arrive being powered. Granted, it's not really a big of a deal because Xander technically still has the Allspark, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
I guess the idea is that we want to destroy all of his mooks to make sure there's not a single one left.
True.
You'd think time would be of the essence, but okay, maybe Lucas has a plan.
Anyway, yeah, basically, Jova, he was making Fast 2, then someone on IGN, I forgot who it was
Raised like a minuscule complaint, like a throwaway line or something. Phil escalated the thing big time to a point where he basically rage quitted, said that Fast 2 was cancelled. He literally said something like, "I'm taking the money and running away. Goodbye."
Oh, I think
and
I
we
see.
have never heard of him ever since.
What exactly is Spaz all about anyway?
Platformer. It has a cool concept in a sense that you're basically moving on a like on a gigantic not cube kind of like, and the scenario it's similar kind of to Puppeteer in a sense that you're moving the character, but the scenario is also changing accordingly instead of transitioning from one screen to the other. It's a bit complicated to explain, Joe. It's better if you see it for yourself.
How old is
As
that
an
game?
indie, it has a neat idea. It's like I wouldn't say it's super special, but I would still say that among the indie panorama, it's a game that
It can stand out essentially.
stands on its own ground, basically. Yeah.
That's
It was also referenced in a couple of other indie games like Dust Tale as a cameo from protagonist of Pets. The problem again was the attitude that Phil Fish had. Compare this to Scott Cawthon, creator of Final Fantasy Freddy's, which responded to criticism with actually improving on his own thing, or in some cases being in general being really humble about it. Like when, for example, his FNAF World project, which was more like an RPG parody of the traditional series, wasn't really flying. He basically decided to sell the game for free, and it still is. He never actually, and he basically refunded for those who bought it. So basically, he gained absolutely nothing from it, and he was totally cool about it.
It's like Shuri said, it's like, well, it sounds like Phil Fish is one of the older kind of indie devs. I'm guessing Fez is like...
No, Phil Fish is the hipster kind of like way, the one who spent all this time on Instagram photographing his food.
Well, that's what I meant. It's like, well, how old is Fez?
How old?
is-
I think it's 2011. Let me check.
Okay. I see what Shuri means. Basically, she's referring to like the modern kinds of indies versus the older kind of indies. 2011 was back when indie stuff wasn't quite, per se. Okay, nowadays, when indies go up, there's a Kickstarter and whatnot.
All right. So can we finally confront Xander?
Yes.
Probably not.
But first
Oh, force field.
barrier. Barrier.
Knack, just use your Kamehameha.
Of everything you hold.
Why do you get so much pleasure from having Knack watch this? Like seriously,
you'll enjoy
what?
it.
Hold on, that's the thing, Pedro. He's getting pleasure by destroying with a gigantic dick cannon. Am I missing something here?
Again.
Oh,
What?
wait, hold on. I think they're about to address it.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this scene. Never
Long
mind.
enough?
So, why were you mad?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry too.
sorry about what?
Oh, she's sorry too. About what?
We're never going to explain
Whatever,
that.
I guess we can assume that they hooked back up again.
Lucas, what are you doing?
So basically, they split up about something. They apologized about something, and now they're back together.
Fire when ready.
Thrilling
Oh
drama.
my god, he almost literally quoted Star Wars. You may fire when ready.
He just pretty much said that, yeah?
This works.
Okay, so look at this.
What? Oh my god!
What happened?
Oh my god!
Well, how could you miss that target?
Oh my god, he pulled a Star Wars Episode 8! Except it actually went through
Oh
this
no,
time.
Lucas is dead.
No, he's
Oh,
not.
actually not. What?
No, he's... No, what?
There you go. Lucas also mapped this plan so he could have this
Gave it
technology.
Upgrades. What?
It becomes an X-Wing.
It's the X-Tornado.
Except the extra was explained that we got a chaos
So
symbol
Lucas
for
has
it.
become Tails.
What?
Well, the plane is blue.
Okay. At least with the extra NATO, it was explained that Tails had to
Hold
get
on.
a...
Lucas
Built that part from robot. That
parts.
one from robot
Okay.
parts.
The
Yeah.
same robot parts that power up and transform when they're hit by the artifact.
Oh.
So he basically gambled this. Huh?
You just make him stronger.
Okay, that's that.
Making me even stronger, boy.
Okay. I guess that's
Okay,
fair.
can we finally squash Xander
Time
because
to
of
go,
this?
Xander.
Push him out the plane. Oh, oh, the giant robot.
Oh, we destroyed the giant
Okay.
mechanic.
Okay.
Your name is letting that go, and I can understand why.
wait,
It's a giant mechanical spider.
Was it really this anticlimactic?
Yes. Well, we're still gonna have a final boss, but yeah, the giant mechanical spider was very easily destroyed, as you can see.
It was the
It was a very
Armageddon.
flimsy machine.
Oh,
clearly.
again with the old spark.
All this time, it was you I should have destroyed first.
Wait, that never crossed your mind, genius?
Maybe it takes something. to defeat you.
Wait, and he
Wait,
dies
he
like
dies
that?
from that?
Apparently.
What?
And now the Allspark decides to summon the ultimate Decepticon.
Also, yeah, you were right. It's basically a Knack Club.
Okay. They call this thing the artifact because it can do pretty much anything, apparently.
I know. I just like to call it the Allspark.
Wow, this is the final boss.
Yes,
I'm
this
sorry.
is our final boss too.
Hey,
Wow,
guys.
that is basically
It's
it
literally
even
just
looks
like...
it kind of looks like Dr. Nefarious.
Chapter 15-3, the ultimate battle.
Not only
This
that...
is so anticlimactic, even worse than the Guardian in the first game.
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing. The Guardian in the first game was also sort of a counterpart to Knack as
At
well.
the very least, there was a reason why the Guardian looked like that. It was the Eye of Sauron who basically decided to gamble everything with that. Here, it's just a pile of garbage thrown together by the Allspark.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the Eye of Sauron in the first Knack game was also, you know, a counterpart to Knack, as we could tell, because that and his core were of the same design. And once again, so the final boss is again a clone of Knack. And also, what is Xander even trying to accomplish if he's dead at this
Xander
point?
died.
That's my point.
He tries to
I'm guessing this was his last, like, if
Oh,
I die, you'll
Jova,
have to
Jova.
go with me, kind of thing.
Jova,
I hate
Jova,
sake.
from
I
L's
spit
heart,
it.
I
I
stab
spit
at
it.
B for A's sake, I speed my last breath on B, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so basically this boss is, you'll have to basically, obviously as a life bar, basically hit him and try to get some relics out of him. Oh, there you go. See.
When he does like
Ba-
that.
Basically keep hitting him for now, and then you'll eventually you'll get different phases.
Okay. You know, is this boss literally just stuck in the middle? Because...
Yes.
How intimidating! Like,
Yeah,
sorry.
The boss
no.
actually can get the boss can actually get pretty frustrating because of the different things it does. You'll see.
I'm talking
Oh,
more
and
so
Knack
about...
reabsorbs the relic when he destroys, so essentially he's getting bigger with each hit when he does.
The problem is the boss can do that as well. So.
Oh.
Anyway, Pedro, when I say how intimidating, I'm talking about the presentation. Now, granted, yes, gameplay is the first and foremost thing in a game, but presentation is kind of a close second in games. Like, you know, that is one thing. It's like, well, okay. And here's
Well,
another
gaming
thing.
is a visual medium, so yeah.
And hey, maybe if the gameplay were actually fun, I wouldn't be complaining about the presentation.
Again, once again, like I always say about entertainment, entertain the audience first. Everything else should come second.
And, okay, I guess to be fair, this was their honest efforts to entertain us, in which case, I am very sorry for these people, because this is sad.
That's okay. We can just keep hitting it until it dies.
You know, again, I have to compare this negatively to the first Knack game. The final boss, you definitely did feel the weight and scale of it with how gigantic everyone was. Here, we're in front of the downed robot. I'm gonna be quite honest, the Armageddon robot should have been our final boss. Like, that would have been much more
Go
epic
full
or whatnot.
Metal Gear Rising, come on.
Or heck.
Yeah, that would require creativity.
Well, you know, they clearly had the robot. They could have just made it a boss fight. But also, okay. Some people will argue the final boss doesn't always have to be the biggest. And yes, in Metal Gear Solid 1,
There you
the
go.
final boss wasn't Metal Gear, but it was actually Liquid Snake.
Hold on.
Polar.
This is now second phase. So in the second phase, he keeps throwing. He's going to try to drag as many relics out of me as possible.
Oh,
there you go.
snap.
See. Which means now I have. Okay, what I have to do now is I have to try to punch those balls whenever they're on the ground, so I can get their relics.
Hey.
It's hard though because you have.
So much phallic symbol, so much symbolism, Freudian
So
symbolism.
Knack
in
literally has to
this
get...
last part.
I mean, those are technically Knack's balls because they're balls with his pieces in it.
Yeah. He literally took my relics and is using them against me.
As testicles, like.
And
Jesus fuck.
hey, this is just like how the first game...
Well, look at the bright side. Too. At least he doesn't have testicles like the Decepticons in Bayformers.
Whatever. I mean, at this... Look, I'm sorry. At this point, I get more entertainment out of the Bayformers films than I do this. It's like,
Yeah,
for
I'll
bad
still
or
take
for...
this over to the Fallen anyway.
I'm not sure.
Well, okay. I'm obviously not talking about Revenge of the Fallen, but... You know what? Okay, when it comes to action scenes, yes, Revenge of the Fallen is better. No, don't get me wrong. Revenge of the Fallen is still a terrible movie, but at the very least, the final action scene with Optimus in his super form still beats the heck out of whatever this is.
Maybe it could if I could actually see it because of the camera is so close that I can't fucking see anything that's going on.
So it's... Oh, okay.
I could see it, but whatever. The point being is like with this, and going back to this, again, hey guys, it's like how in the first game, the final... There's a Kamehameha attack. It's like how in the first game, the final boss also had an attack that made Knack shrink. You know, funny thing is like when he shrinks, he actually goes back to as big as he is in this fight. You know, I mean, not right now, but you know, basically the biggest he can be possible.
But the camera adjusts according to that angle. Here it stays on the same level.
Let me put it like this.
Okay.
You want to have it not be as big as the last
Yeah, I
boss
kind of
fight.
like this idea that you need to hook him up in this phase. That's actually trying to incorporate Knack's kind of power.
And yes, every time you end one of the phases, there's that ooh slow-mo thingy. Alright, next phase.
Oh no, will he actually have feet this time?
No.
Silly job.
I mean, that's
Now
another...
he's basically just going ape shit and trying to punch me.
And, okay,
Very rude.
going back to the presentation, I get that this is supposed to be an evil Knack, but I don't know. Visually, there's no sense of duality or similarity to Knack, and okay, we technically have
Punch
already
him.
had Knack
Mash the square
clones,
button,
but
Pedro.
that doesn't help the boss's looks, especially when the game went
Look how
so
good I
out
am
of
at this game.
joy.
To be fair, okay, I'm getting the vibe that the fight is getting better as it goes along. It's just at a terrible start, though.
That's the thing. This boss fight does seem legit. However, this feels more like what should be a first or mid-game boss, because this is as difficult as the game gets, legit speaking.
I guess I can go with penultimate. I'll be more generous to that. But the problem is that yeah, it's still not final boss material, but there are some ideas that get incorporated as the fight goes along. The problem is that too little, too late, essentially.
Like, here's the thing. If you don't want to settle on your final boss being the biggest, then here's an idea. There needs to be a sense of equality. Like I said earlier, the final boss in Metal Gear Solid 1 against Liquid Snake, it's
So,
you
now
against an
what?
evil version of you. Or heck, the final boss in Kingdom Hearts 2, you against
There we
Xemnas,
go.
not as big as
Oh,
before.
those parties.
So even the boss ends in an anticlimactic way.
That's it?
Wait. Oh, hold on.
Maybe not. Crush it.
Oh.
Wait, it's a bomb?
Wait, it's corrupting him?
Yeah, it's trying to take over now.
It can do that. Okay.
When could it do that?
That's okay, it just crushed it
So,
in.
Dude,
Brilliant.
we had a potential
So-
thing for evil Knack, and that's it.
Brilliant. Absolutely. There you go, we're done.
By the way, those guys were tied up the entire time.
Yeah,
we did
the
it. We saved the world.
The Doctor
That's our
and
goal.
Charlotte can also basically be absent from the story altogether.
No. Don't you see, Tio? Because of
Oh,
Doc-
the president is also still here. I forgot.
Actually, she's chairwoman.
Yeah, whatever. The first.
And there you go. Look at that too. The chairwoman of New Haven made a deal with the monks. So now the monks will be much more taught in everyday culture and shit.
Which
So there you
means
go.
Xander could have gotten what he originally wanted if he just talked with these people.
Brilliant.
Ava?
Don't you just love how the ending renders the entire story
It's
pointless?
me who should apologize.
Well, don't you see, Pedro, at the end, Xander's plans were to destroy everything, so technically
many
not
mistakes
pointless
that
because we took a hatchet to Xander's
Oh, there you
character.
go. This is where we get the
Also-
sequel
What
hook.
matters is what you do next.
I love also how we're
Your
skipping
friends
Oh.
already the medal,
Wait.
medal giving phase
You're
of
not
the.
so bad yourself.
Oh my god, that line he just said. You're always gonna make mistakes. What matters is what you do next. That feels like they made this line hoping that this game would turn out to be better, so then they could say, hey guys, it's like how we made this game better than Act 1.
But Lucas is a
Oh, here you go.
teenager.
You know, I've been following Xander's way for so long, I don't know what my way is.
I don't know, Ava. You kind of seem pretty independent, Xander.
But sometimes, I want to know if there's anyone else out there. truly
You're
like
just
me.
now thinking
Knack.
of this?
Okay, Knack,
it's
didn't
time
we
to get
technically
out
get
there
the
and
answer to
find
that in the
out.
first game? There clearly are people like you out there, like the Guardian.
Let's get out of here.
What?
Don't worry, Ava. You'll find your way.
I know. You will too.
I don't know. The sales aren't looking too promising.
So there you go. Lucas and Knack are going to go on a journey so that Knack can find out who it
Oh,
really
and look
is.
at
I
that!
guess. I
Ryder
don't
and
know.
Katrina are back together.
Who cares?
Indubitably.
Indubitably. You know what's sad, Tio? Vargas technically did have a role in the story. That role was getting Lucas so pissed off that he would trust Xander enough to give him the artifact.
Let's go find out what's out there.
There we go. Let's go find out what it's there. Next stop, anywhere.
Knack III, baby.
And that's the
No.
story
Only gonna
of Knack and
happen.
I saved the world.
Again.
Again. Right after I almost destroyed it.
Great job.
Wait.
As for what comes
After
next,
you almost
who
destroyed
knows?
it? Oh, right, because he blames himself about
But Knack's
Xander.
always there for me. So if he needs to find out more about himself, count me in.
Translation,
Snack.
Lucas is gonna be in the sequel as well.
He's family.
This almost feels like they're trying to be like a movie. It's like,
And they fly off into the night sky.
At least it's not the sunset.
yeah.
Alright, so just like in the first game, we have a credits roll that's basically a big trollage to you.
I Like Me Now. Is it still How Do You Like Me Now?
No, it's a different song. However, we're still gonna have a bit more during credits footage.
Oh, is there gonna be an after credit scene too?
No.
Well, I guess we'll still get to see the text reel. Oh yeah, so the goblins, I guess, are definitely dead now.
Well, at the
Apparently.
very least, the high goblin, but the normal goblins we just know with Ganda are, fell from the precipice.
Oh, no. That's the thing, Tio. The monks apparently trained the robots to go after all goblins, according to what Xander said. So, as far as we
Look
know,
at all the wonderful locations we visited.
you know,
No, not this one. I hate this one.
I don't know. Is it just me, or do these locations actually look more colorful than they did in game? Huh.
Kinda.
That one looks like it's a scene from
It's the place where we fought Xander's first big Knack thing that he threw at us.
Those are all the places that Lucas and Knack are flying by.
And that's it. From now on, it's a black.
Until we get to whatever Knack
final
dances
thoughts?
Hold
to.
on. We're gonna hold on. We're still gonna get our pop song, just like in the first game. It's not How You Like Me Now. It's not How Do You Like Me Now, but it's a different one.
Is it another song that Chloe tries to tout Knack as being awesome and saying, guys, this product
Yes.
is totally gonna be the bomb, yo?
Yeah, basically.
You know, this
I
is
don't know
one
which
thing
song
I
it is,
don't.
though.
You know what's sad is I wish Sony could have been this cocky with the likes of Crash, Jack and Dexter, or what? Hello, game.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Hey,
TJ Storm.
reminder that he also voiced Strider in the Marvel Capcom. I don't.
You know what's sad? It's like, well, at least back with the first Knack game, Knack was essentially a PS4 demo, so,
Knack can't even dance.
Yeah, that's the joke, because he can only do the robot.
He's got no rhythm.
I'm sure this may have looked somewhat impressive back with the original Knack since that was a PS4 demo. Now, though, because this isn't even a PS4 demo, now it doesn't even seem that interesting. It just seems sad and tired. Put Knack out of his misery, please. Look at him,
Okay,
guys.
so-
He's hopeless.
I don't know, Joe, but these particular credits in these games seem to be some of the most enjoyable parts to me.
I like
because of how,
I like
how
the
ridiculous they
song.
are.
Well, that's the thing. It's only now that the
Again,
game...
I would have much preferred if they went the Pixar route and have like some fake bloopers
Yeah, same.
from the cutscenes. That would have been at least give the game more personality.
I like the song, and, Knack's dances are funny for the first 30 seconds, maybe, but they then end up having to repeat some of them.
Also, to
Yeah.
be fair, Pixar doesn't do those anymore anyway, so
What a shame. Shake your fang, boy.
We didn't need that.
My guess is they didn't want to just milk that joke ad nauseum.
I suppose, but at the very least once in a while for projects that are not too serious about it, I guess.
Anyway, so yeah, that was Knack II, baby. Shiroi, since you're the newcomer and therefore probably the most unbiased of us,
Has
Sure.
Knack convinced you that he's clearly cementing himself into the pantheon of the major PlayStation mascots?
Has Knack
It's
finally
convinced me.
Has Knack finally
What?
become the main reason for you to buy a PS4?
yeah, screw Spider-Man or stuff
Trademark.
like that. No, this is the real reason to buy a PS4. Go ahead, Shiroi.
It convinced me that I definitely need more sleep. It's so boring.
Yeah.
Speaking of the gameplay specifically, it's so boring and repetitive.
Yeah.
And what probably one of the most hand-holdy games I've ever seen, really. It's kind of insulting.
Do you need to know where to move these blocks so you can clearly jump on them to reach this higher angle? Well, let's show you that for him
Oh
if you
my
don't
God,
get
did
it
he
in the
just
first
dab?
10 seconds. Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Yes.
All right,
Because
I'm
that's what
getting
the-
off this. I'm off this video.
Cool
What do you think of the story?
kids do.
The story is inconsequential.
That's
Really?
being nice.
I mean, half the characters don't even do anything, and considering, what they may or may not have done in the first game from what you've been saying,
Oh, God, please do not do that ever again.
I don't know, I actually went off the video.
I don't blame you, Shiroi.
Dabbing is my limit, I'm sorry.
He basically did the shaking my boobs at you pose.
Oh.
But the fact Knack is supposed to be male, kinda like, so...
I think it's more supposed to be genderless, but yeah,
So
sure.
it, yeah, sure.
Even though they refer to him as a he.
Yes, Knack, go away now.
Yes, please leave.
End
I
of game
mean-
data saved. Use your
Yeah, that's-
end of game save data to selecting world map from the main menu, and you can continue playing the game while keeping all of your abilities and items.
Sure, I'll totally do that.
And we activated the new game plus ability.
Oh, what is
That
New
way
Game
I can
Plus include?
replay the game from the beginning all over again, so I can get all the collectibles.
But it's on a harder difficulty. Doesn't that sound fun?
And I activated
No.
time attack and Coliseum attack.
There's a time attack
Colosseum?
mode for this?
What?
It's a tournament mode of sorts, Shiroi, where but my
Oh.
from what I can tell, it's an endurance mode where you're just fighting enemies and see how long you can last and shit like that.
Sure.
I'm more surprised that
Anyway-
there's a time attack mode, like, considering how slow this
Well,
game
how about
is.
this? What do you think of the graphics? Do you think this is at least a good-looking game?
I mean, it doesn't look awful, but when did this come out?
2017, last year.
Still
year.
doesn't look great then.
Nope.
It's kind of like the basic bare bones platformer aesthetic you can get.
Yeah.
Although aren't some of I can't remember which one was better or worse, but isn't something a little off about the character models in this game?
The
You showed me something
faces,
before.
The hair.
Yeah. That's a thing. I'm not sure how that could be worse, but sure. But the characters, a lot of them aren't even consistent. When they're not there, they're not consistent at all. Like Xander being the most egregious offender in that. The time skips are probably the most offensive part of the story to me because nothing actually happens between them. I said it a couple of parts ago that anything significant, quote, that happens post the time skip. The time skips are just for people wandering around. I mean, if that's all they were gonna do, I mean, I would have rather them just get to the resolution straight away and then have a montage, which we did get at one point when they were building the plane. But why did we just have several time skips of them being stuck on that island for months?
You know,
Where they apparently, they apparently still look like they've showered. There's nothing's changed whatsoever.
It's a video game, Shiroi, nobody-
Sure. What does this say you talk about showering, bathing, or eating? We don't need to do those every now and then.
You say Comic-Con goers, but sure.
That's the logic of this game's world, so clearly
Anyway,
we've
go
been
ahead.
living life all wrong.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
are you done?
Yes,
Shiroi?
I'm done. This is
Go ahead,
just
too.
bland.
Okay, to add very much Shiri said about the time skip. There's also it's also very ludicrous. You're basically telling me that in 3 months, Xander managed to construct that fucking spider thing out of nowhere just because he managed to add the Allspark. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Don't you see, too? That
Also,
artifact could do anything the plot wants, and I mean
it's
anything.
McGuffin, okay, I get it. Anyway, also to add a brief information in case you're wondering, the song that we have heard in the credits is called Cantaloupe Flip Fantasia from band US3, a song from 1992. So, and even a rather obscure one, I don't remember that.
Oh, it's a song you
I,
hear a lot in America. Again, it's a song I like, but I don't even get why
it
they use
feels
that
a bit
one.
out of context. We could have easily reused How You Like Me Now at this point, considering the meme status. But anyway, on to the main game itself. The story is a mess, but I dare to say kinda worse than the first game because it tries to do bigger things and fixing a couple of things, but it kinda trips on its own feet, and it becomes this jumbled mess that rolls and rolls around until it arrives at the finish line, and it looks like a pack of Lego, fitting a pack of Lego that are assembled in the completely wrong way. You just look at it, it's like so bad that you want to turn your eyes away, but you can't. The characters, if any, like the biggest disappointment to me are also the complete absence of major supporting characters. Dr. Vargas and Charlotte are basically gone. They're not useful for the story. They don't contribute the slightest. Dr. Vargas, the most that he does is being this grumpy old self for 2 minutes. And that's it, he gets kidnapped. He doesn't even speak at the end.
Oh, don't forget, Joe, Vargas is the catalyst for Lucas giving the artifact to Xander.
Yes, but like, again, 1 minute of screen time or something.
It's kind of insulting because all he really contributes to the game in this one is
Ryder
just
tries to be... Ryder is a bit Flash more, but it gets lost in the swamp that is his own soap opera against Katarina. So but you might as well not have him because all the time he spends is basically either admiring the landscape or telling how much he misses getting laid. Lucas is obviously what it's supposed to be the focus here. It's trying to be fleshed out a bit. It's trying to have not even his backstory, but there's some minor hints here and there about his troubled upbringing. He's trying to be reinforcing his boundary with Knack. He reacted to Eva and Xander in his own way. Like at first he needs to trust them, but he won't, and so on and so on. But I don't know. At the end of the game, it doesn't feel like he actually grows as a character, and we still don't know what the fuck is up with his talisman thing. Nor when he uses his ability at disposal, the fucking grappling hook. Knack himself won't work. Knack himself is just like in the first game. He's very passive towards a lot of things. The few times where he actually shows some characters, he's completely wasted. He has those terrible lines. Ice is nice, dirty derp.
I hate goblins.
And that's the thing. I would like him more because I genuinely kind of like more the abilities that he does in this game. There seems to be, like I will elaborate more in a second, but there seems to be, to me, a genuine improvement in terms of how the combat is handled. But I'll get Eva is like
Just
I get
there.
I get what the developers wanted to do. They wanted to have the characters that gets introduced. It's ambiguous. Van tries to create the conflict by seeming that she betrays them, but she's also face exactly when Xander betrays the others because she's like she clearly states where she doesn't want them to die, but she's perfectly okay by leaving them on the island for like 6 months or even more. So and then you don't hear much about her. She basically just acts when we see her. She doesn't talk to Lucas too much, and then you get to hear the ending where she just has like 2 lines. So again, she's like Pedro mentioned, she's just there. Another case of wasted potential. Xander, I think we already discussed enough about him. It's what a fucking mess of a character. It's like the dev team doesn't the people responsible didn't know how to actually write a villain, and I'm shocked because again, one of the main God of War writers worked on this, and yes, there is a transition in terms of aesthetic and personality between God of War 1 and 2. But first of all, there's a good reason behind that, and second, gets in that context here. Both Victor and Xander to me are on the same level just for different purposes. It just doesn't work. The music is the still cookie cutter mess, so I'm not even gonna bother with that. The level design is it's kind of the same in the first game. They remove some of the most annoying things, like the power up, the power down for the like ice neck and everything. But they compensated with other bullshit things, like the steams, for example, the one forcing you to traverse through sections that insta kill you, or the terrible stealth sections. I don't really mind too much the whole RNG in that specific level near the end, but I wish the game had some examples beforehand, so the player could be gradually get used to that kind of form instead of being, drastically introduced to him out of nowhere. It should have been reworked better, but I don't think it's as big of a problem as we noticed. What else? Also, yeah, the gameplay. I'm fine with the upgrade system. I honestly think the handling of the experience should have been reworked a bit better. Maybe give it a bit more so that by the end of the game, Knack actually has all the ability that is at its disposal. I don't mind some of them being withheld and being used for the specific occasions. The problem is how they were handled, with Eva just being conveniently very say, "Oh, I just remember I can give you this ability right now." Again, another thing that could have worked on paper, but it needed to be, thought better.
Yeah.
I'm in the group. I'm the one who's most used to QTs and the most tolerant towards them. And like I said,
Along with me.
Well, okay, let me tell you, I've seen worse, but I've seen better. I don't think it's as big of a problem like in, say, Resident Evil 4 or such, because first of all, they're very generous in this game.
To be fair, Resident Evil 4 was kind of where the trend was starting to pick up.
No, it's technically started with Shenmue, Joe, but I get what you mean.
In the mainstream.
Shenmue was the one who invented them to begin with, so I don't know if that counts as starting to pick up.
The first major inventor technically could have been Dragon's Lair, but we're not here to discuss.
What I mainly talk about is like Resident Evil 4 is where it started to become mainstream.
I guess.
Say it started to pick up.
Anyway, they're not the worst thing in the world, but I guess we could have handled also those a little better. And I also see that most of the scenes that they try to be, the button input tried to replicate the action that is going, like X for a jump, like that. In a couple of occasions, it's just random. Like there wasn't that much thought to it. So again, it could have been better, but could have been also worse. Overall, this is just a bundle of mediocrity. Like it's not even funny. Like, this is a second title that should have not had the promise that it had. Yes, there is some legitimate improvement for me compared to the first game, but it's not enough. And I don't think it's still a good result for a game. If I had to give it a score, I would say 4.5, and I'm generous with this. Nonetheless, I morbidly would be interested to see a third title, just to see how deep this rabbit hole can fucking go and how much of a mockery Mark can make of himself with this.
Go ahead, Joe.
Knack II. It's a game. I should end my critique right there because I don't feel like giving this game my time of the day, but you know what? Fine, I'll give it to you. As a sequel, this game is another failure. I mean, it's supposed to be something that not only would have improved, now, this needed to be something that would salvage Knack. At this point, though, I'm kind of like Tio. If there's a Knack III, no way am I buying it, but hey, I'm sure we'll commentate on it some way, somehow, just to see how far the rabbit hole goes down. It's just, man, what a disappointment. I mean, okay, because, when the game starts off, it does feel like, there's improvements here. The gameplay starts off better than the first Knacks. You don't just die in 1 or 3 hits. You can actually change sizes from Knack on the go. Okay, stuff we asked for. But as soon as the story starts kicking into overgear, that's when a lot of the problems show up. Hey, we can change sizes between Knack, but now Knack will never get to be as big as he got to be in the first game, and that means also that, well, we have to do a lot of these stupid puzzles that involve changing sizes, which pad out the game more. And furthermore from that, the gameplay can still get pretty stilted at times. In fact, in some ways the gameplay can kind of be a bit worse than the first game. The hints are way too generous, as in they treat you like you're dumb. And the puzzles, when they actually are challenging, are mainly just because of BS camera detection, or the fact that it's something that doesn't make a lick of sense whatsoever. And then there's the part when the game glitches because of how they code stuff in there. Glitches aren't always a bad thing, but as you showed, it's not quite the final level, but that level that for some reason does that random, let's have the player go through a different route every now and then thing. It shows that the game is very specifically coded, which means that the slightest glitch can ruin your experience. Not good. And okay, the moveset that Knack has, it's better than his first game. The problem is that this is what his moveset should have been from the get-go. Like, It's not so much that it's fun as much as it is it's actually bearable now. And even then, the way you get these power-ups is so arbitrary at times. Ava, will you give us an ability? Only when the story absolutely deems it necessary. It's not like I could give you all your abilities. And they don't even try and use the excuse that she was working for Xander, and that's why she didn't give you all the abilities that much either, because after she doesn't work for Xander, she gives you, at best, 1 more power-up, and it's a Kamehameha, essentially. So, yeah, the gameplay is better, but 0 times 100 is still 0. Enough about the gameplay, which is probably the most consistently better thing. Let's talk about the story. I can't believe I'm saying this. The story here was worse than the first Knack. Like, it seems like at first the story is going to be better than the first Knack, but again, like with the gameplay, details rear their ugly heads not too far from the start. Like, okay, Ryder and Katrina all of a sudden being a lovey-dovey couple off-screen that broke up, yeah, that makes little to no sense. Characters that should trust other characters don't trust other characters, instead they trust characters that they clearly shouldn't trust. Xander. Oh god, Xander is the worst offender in this one. Xander started off as a more subtle, soft-spoken villain in the sense that he wasn't this booming, cackling bout of mad, but someone who actually, while deluded, did have good intentions. But they completely rewrite his personality at the end just to have him go all mad, genocidal and all, we're gonna take over the world. Oh wait, no, now we're gonna destroy the world. Literally burning it with fire, using all the buzzwords you hear when trying to make someone say, he's the bad man.
Yeah.
Ava was, at first she seemed like a fine enough counterpart. Well, she seemed like the second in command, but one that would question the morals of her leader. Until she just becomes a little puppy who will follow anyone who is kind enough to her. And, okay, the problem I have is like, well, okay, I get Ava is not as violent as Xander, but the fact that she was okay with leaving Lucas and Knack to their impending doom, okay, maybe not Knack's impending doom, but I'm pretty sure Lucas would have had the food trouble, so all the same. Her morals are very messed up. Well, maybe not her morals, her priorities. And yay, at the end, I guess she takes Xander's place, but even still, we don't get enough character time with Ava to see how she really developed or changed. In fact, we don't really get to see how many of the characters changed. And not just as a result of this story, we don't even see how they changed as a result of the first story. In fact, if anything, some of them are even worse. Gundahar was completely inconsequential, even though he's the main leader behind the goblins. Yeah, the regular goblins apparently have a lead over the high goblins, but it's okay because apparently, unless there's a sequel establishing otherwise, all the goblins are Order 88, whatever, dead.
Yeah.
So that's
it also
nice.
Reminds me, poor Rotary doesn't even have the moment to shine because Gandhar tries to hijack the conversation in the boss fight.
Yeah, and Rodhart
Yeah.
seemed like someone who actually had some passion, at least in the voice acting and actual character, but nope! Gundahar, and even when Gundahar does... No, he still doesn't actually fight us. It's Mook fights. Mook boss fights. Yeah, that's another thing. This game has a hard-on for Mook boss fights. I don't care how big you make them, they're essentially still Mooks. No sense of grandeur to them. And that's a thing. It's like, well, this game half the time feels like it's trying. But the other half, it feels like it's going, we're better than the first Knack, so why bother shooting for more? And that's the thing. In a way, it feels like it does worse than the Knack. Like, that's the most baffling thing about the sequel. I heard people say that the sequel's better. However, this sequel feels like it's at times worse than the first Knack, which I thought was kind of nigh impossible considering how bad the first Knack was. And the facial animations, like Tio said, they're ugly. Uglier than the first Knack game. The first Knack game had a more cartoony consistency to it, whereas this one, like the tone in the story, tries to be more serious. Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. The first Knack had a better idea of not taking itself as seriously as this one does. I never imagined that my final thoughts would be me comparing this negatively to the first Knack, but here we are. Here we freaking are. Now, that's not to say all of it's bad.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, Jova.
It's not to say it's all bad. There are some actual good moments, like the robot platforming parts, and maybe one or two actual funny jokes. They got a good cast, even though those casts don't really get to show their best. And back to what's wrong with this game. The music is bland and forgettable as it gets when it comes to video game music. The final boss is just sad. I mean, here's the thing. The final boss, in concept, is a ripoff of the first final boss. Essentially, an evil counterpart to Knack, all powered up, can suck up your rugs, blah de blah de blah. The fight choreography is technically better because Knack can do more, but it's still not much. And even still, Xander just dies even though Knack clearly saved him. Like, you know, Knack has done those kind of rescues for plenty of other people before, and they haven't just given up and died. Like, again, they made a villain who is worse executed than Victor from the first Knack game. How do you even? How do you even? And all of it to cap off with a stupid sequel hook that doesn't even make sense in the main context of things. Hey, geniuses, how about you finish that plot point with Lucas and his necklace first? And it's just a sad, jumbled mess that feels like they had an idea at first, but then they lost it and shoved in what else would stick. Again. And to this, I just have to say, Sony, just do your worst at this point. Whatever you will calculate that to be is up to you. God dang.
Alright.
God
Alright,
dang.
go
Back
ahead.
to you,
and,
Tio.
Where I was off, I think Japan Studio.
You were talking
yes.
about that, yes.
Basically, Japan Studio, while I did not completely grow up with them, I got to see most of their history. Ape Escape, all the collaborations we did for things like Patapon, the Level 5 games, even recent products like Demon's Souls and Bloodborne they did with From Software. They are a good studio, I promise you people. I have no idea what happened here. I seriously don't know what's going on with them tied up to these games. Because they are capable studios that also Pedro can confirm can also do a good platform with Puppeteer that we did a couple of years before Knack. So what
Actually,
really
as a thing too, Puppeteer came out in the same year that Knack 1 did.
So I guess B team. Alright then.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
going off
honestly
of the interview, it
convinced-
sounds
I'm
like the
honestly
main
convinced-
team was on for Knack 2, though.
I'm honestly convinced that something wrong happened and we're just not knowing all the truth. But still, it's a disgrace for the team and not a thing that poses the team in a good favor in this climate where Sony is more inclined to support its Western division than the East one. So I'm really hoping that the future is more promising for them as well, because generation VR thingy with From Software again. But regardless, when it comes to this game, it's just a mess. It also, like I mentioned before, the facial animations, I honestly think were worse than the first game. Yes, the first game had not the best quality to it in terms of graphics, but these faces and hairs, god damn it, they look terrible. And I'm sorry, Sony is perfectly capable of handling, for the most part, the next gen hair problem that I mentioned before. So what happened here, either laziness or incompetence, or a combination of two, I don't know. It just literally looks worse to me than the first game. So overall, there are some improvements to my eyes, but not enough to savage, far and not enough to savage the project. So, but like I said, if an Knack III gets made, sure, let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes. Just Sony allow Japan Studio to do something great again.
How about a new Ape Escape game, since you clearly
Well,
aren't...
even not that intuitive, or like a Wild Arms, for example, even though Wild Arms is relegated to a mobile title right
That's
now.
gonna be really hard with Ken Motomura not working there anymore.
Yeah, but point being, just let the studio do something great again, like even a new IP for all that matters, something good.
It
basically.
really does make you wonder how much they must have been screaming on the inside when they gave that interview with IGN about how much of a true, amazing game improvement this sequel was.
Again, Jova, it reeks of PR responses, so I'm not really surprised by that. Like, for example, here's a secret, Jova. A lot of times when devs give PR responses, usually they are forced to say those by someone higher than them.
Yeah.
It's not like we really want to tell them.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm done because this is dragging too long. Finish us off, Pedro.
and there's not really that much anything I can say that my co-commentators have already said. So I'll just finish by saying this. Mark, I really hate to say this. I really do, because I like you. I still like you despite everything, which is more than I can say for a lot of people out there. You need to, I know, you need to let this go. I get that you like it. I get that you want to make it, but you need to let it go, dude. You need to rethink things. You need to realize that you're just not good at this whole creative lead thing. You need to either focus straightly on, being engineering the PS5, or just, going back to being a mid man. Like, go back to being just a programmer / designer. That's what you're good at. You're not. You definitely need to stop writing. You're not good at it at this, Mark. You really need to stop writing. Bad. You're not good at it. And so yeah, like that's my appeal, I guess. Please, Mark. I still want to see you produce some good games. So please go back to being such a pro. Go help out Insomniac or something. Like go program the next Ratchet and Clank or something, like you used to do back in the day. So come on, dude, please.
Now watch them announce 3 new Knack titles this upcoming Paris Games Week at Sony.
Or hell, bring back SCWRM and do Live 5 since the previous one ended.
Okay, how about this then? If Knack III really must happen, Mark, please hire someone else to write it. Please?
Hire actual writers.
That's the problem, Pedro. He had a co-writer for this and someone who's good at their job, so I guess it wasn't enough.
Well, but there's a thing, Teo. He's still the one creatively in charge. Again, it's just like with David Cage getting 2 additional writers for Detroit Become Human. Yes, he has help now, but he's still the one creatively in charge. The other writers still need to do as he says.
I would say, Vovet, for Detroit, I felt the difference. I could feel the difference in the sections that were not written by David. But again, it's a topic for when we get to that. Continue.
Yeah, but Mark in general just needs to stop writing. He needs to stop writing. Maybe let the God of War writer have creative reins. I guess, why not?
Imagine, too, did anything seem like it was written by the God of War writer going off of the quality in this game?
I guess some of the action set pieces, like the idea of the plot transitioning into a specific type of action, gave me kind of that vibe.
Anyway, we're dragging this
so much.
So I'll see you for a Knack III if it does happen.
Is it said that I won't be surprised if it happens?
Not anytime soon, anyway, because this year Sony is practically done with the reveals. So see you for that.
See you for that.
That reminds me, wasn't Knack II also announced at Paris Games Week?
Yes.
Yes, it's good. See you, everybody.